Om. Om, 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 om. Okay. Tonight I'll be talking to somebody about renting a small kutir, a small bhajan kutir for next year in Rishikesh. So you're the first to receive the invitation to a place that does not yet exist. So, who has something that has been close for the last few days, few weeks? Sam?
Hi. So I was thinking about desire yesterday, and I kind of realized something. I'm trying to let go of individual desires while as a means of avoiding myself of ego, so to speak, like that egotistic attachment to what is in front of me, to what is around me. But at the same time, there's another trap playing around there, which is I'm trying to let go of desires out of judgment of myself for having desires. And that flip switched yesterday. I realized, wait, I'm trying to let go of desire from a place of judgment rather than from a place of loving what is around me.
And?
Or I'm not sure if I'm phrasing this properly. It's still, well, it happened yesterday.
And?
And then I went to sleep. No, and then I guess I'm just trying to figure out how to enact that self-love. And essentially, I don't know what I'm asking. It's more an observation I made yesterday and that I wanted to share and just hear.
That's very good.
You had to say as well.
How does it feel?
It felt exciting. It felt like I understood what it is I'm trying to achieve, rather than it becoming a far-off goal or a goal that will reveal itself. Kind of the goal of being in the moment, being present, being not desirous, the goal and the journey kind of meshed together in that moment. And it felt, this makes a lot of sense, actually.
This is very good. I wanted to see you up close. It's very good. You caught the thief. You see? You know these great dramas of inspector and cat burglar, the great heist, and the great detective. So you've caught the thief. Now, a thief is a thief. Oh, once a thief, always a thief. And very clever. And exactly as smart as you are. So, now what? I mean, of course, now what? We can speak to this on so many different levels, but mostly now nothing. Nothing to enact.
I think that now what, now nothing is kind of deepening the relationship, deepening the love I have for myself. Like, hey, it's okay. It's okay that I am desirous. I can't hold the both dislike of desire and want to empty myself of it at the same time.
Yes. Well, yes. There comes a point where you have this recognition, this aha, and then you see you can't. You see, the desire is to be desireless. I know we've had this conversation, so many of us, haven't we? The desire is to be desireless. But this serves a purpose. It's a very good desire to have. It's healthy and it's good, and this desire will help you develop increasingly single-pointedness, to really allow the petty desires to fall away. But even those ones that are so obvious that now you see through, and you see that the one who doubles down on that is not helpful, makes it worse actually. So it'll be much easier for you without the one that steals the show. And now it'll just be you with your desire. And in that, there needs to be some surrender and some demonstration of your willingness to surrender. It's so subtle, and the mind has such a hard time with all of this. So just be close with me as we explore this. And even if the mind throws up sometimes it just goes to static, or you can't quite hear something, these can happen. But it's okay, because there's a part of you that can hear, and so just being here, it's helpful. So let's see. How shall we approach this looking together? You've come to a place of awareness of so many desires. And in an effort to be free of them, because it seems that they're causing you much trouble and pain and suffering, yes? So you desire to be free of desire, you see? And you're doing that. And the second desire, the desire to be free of desire, this one is not very kind to you, is not loving. This one is the thief. And for so long, lifetimes, it pretends to be our friend, a ventriloquist, telling you this and that. And you think, oh, well, that's me. And so then you catch on. When you're alone with desire, without the judging, the desire to be free of desire that's judging and harsh towards yourself, without that one, this will go much faster. We talk so much about surrender, but not indulgent. Swami Satchidananda would say, take it easy, but not lazy. It's a very important distinction in this, So, there seems to be something called effort in relationship to not indulging desires. Even the ones that we see very clearly don't serve us. Let's just keep it simple. Pizza. Or a quart of Haagen-Dazs. Or a pint. But, So it seems to take some effort to not indulge, right? Because the ice cream is in the fridge, the pizza's in the box, and it seems to take effort. So this is an effort that we're wise to exert. And never once was it ever helpful to be judging ourselves, to be critical, to be shaming ourselves for the desire and for failing to abstain. It's just a very tricky business, so you aspire to not eat the pizza. You eat the pizza anyway, something takes over. Then, how do you reinvigorate abstinence from pizza without being hard on yourself? How do you be easy on yourself without tacitly, subtly giving yourself permission to do it again next week? It's very tricky. And it's always moving. This always finding the center, The subject is moving. The object is moving. As long as, in life, pizza delights and does not keep you up at night, and eat away. But when it comes, a couple things can happen. Your body becomes more fragile to cheese and gluten, but just by virtue of aging. Or the frequency of you shifts, and what used to be food is now poison. And you can't maintain a frequency when you ingest foods, nourishment, sustenance that's no longer sustaining, This is true of so many things. It's not just pizza, obviously. Most importantly, it's the contents of mind and what the mind is attracted to. Probably most of you already aren't able to watch the kind of Netflix that you used to. Just can't do it anymore. Can't understand how people can still do it. But you used to, but now you can't, you see. But the thing is, out of boredom, you may go back and, watch something that is going to mess with your vibration. Well, really what you have to do is pay attention without being harsh on yourself. Without being harsh and without being indulgent. But you see, you get so bored and then you're like, oh my gosh, what can I watch? Not a lot there. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, no. So the desire to be desireless is a very healthy desire, and it will remain so for you, Sam. Because this is what will provide you the fuel to abstain, to withdraw. And you can cultivate this and at the same time realize that it's absurd. But it's not absurd for you yet. When it is absurd for you, honestly, in your own experience, it will all fall away. And nothing in this conversation would be useful. But you see, it's a funny thing, like, we see it clearly, and yet the habit has a momentum to it. It persists beyond our recognition. And the recognition is cause for gratitude, even some relief, but not a victory dance, not yet. There's a habit in us and to celebrate too soon. Mooji would always say, a snake is leaving the room. The head is out, across the threshold, but the body remains. takes time. These desires have been engaged, amplified over so many lifetimes, the yogis will tell us. And just like with a cargo ship at sea, once the captain puts it in neutral, it's going to continue for miles. These habits are so strong. Swami Shivananda said that to achieve liberation, it's like walking up against the Ganga in monsoon. That really what we're moving against are our vasanas, our strong habits of desire. And they move with such a force. He also said that in this age, this epoch of Kali Yuga, that even a great sadhu will be lucky to be able to stand ground and not be swept downriver. So maybe this is in part frustrating, or maybe it's a good reason that a master like Swami Shivananda said you can cut yourself some slack for getting washed downstream every once in a while. But get back at it. You see, future suffering should be avoided. No. Patanjali says this. But it makes sense, yes? Future suffering should be avoided. Suffering arising out of desire for things that cannot fulfill the desire itself is set up for frustration. It's a setup right from the start. A lot of nodding, which means experiential agreement. You can see it in your own self. It goes something like this, right? So desire is there. It's intrinsic to this whole thing. You could say that it's the reason that you're here, that you've taken a body to experience the fruits of all of the desires, called prarabdha in this lifetime. But you see, are you beginning to see it now, that desire fulfilled, you have a desire and the desire is met, it's fulfilled. What happens to desire after this? Gone, never to be seen again. Thank you. No. More desire, right? More desire. Desire fulfilled again. More. Yeah? This world is like the ancient strategy of beer and peanuts at the bar. You know? You have some beer and you want something salty. You eat something salty, you want some more beer. Huh? This is Maya. It's baked into the Dorito. You can't eat one. It's baked into the Maya. So desire fulfilled, watch out, because now desire is amplified. The more it's fulfilled, the more it's amplified. Then desire not fulfilled, jilted. And what happens now? So many things can happen. Frustration is the key outcome. Frustration and anger. Also, we know this, desire fulfilled and then not met. Well, we just need to realign our strategy. Anger itself has this frustration, this anger has a very distinct impact on mind. It has an impact specifically on memory. It makes us dull-witted. You see it? I mean, some extreme example of this is blind with rage. This one, it's like what they call like a blackout drunk. That anger makes somebody so drunk they actually don't know what they're doing. Maybe you haven't experienced this, but certainly you know it from culture. But probably you know it. To some degree, anyway, yes. And
well,
then,
I could share that experience as well on that blinding anger if you want.
Well, I mean, it's up to you. Think about it. Let me think about it before you share something very personal. But and then I'll come back to you in just a second. Okay. Yeah. So then. This anger, the memory goes. There's some dulling effect on mind. Even just a little bit, just a little bit dull. And we all know this feeling also, don't we? Of like, so the mind's just not working. Sometimes you're doing a crossword puzzle, or something like this, or some days I play Wordle every morning, Some days it just goes so fast, it seems so easy. I knew the word before the puzzle started. And some days, you're just like, it's not that the word is any harder or the letter, anyway. We all know this experience, even in subtle. And then without memory, with forgetting built in, it's real trouble for us, because we don't even see the pattern of desire and frustration. We don't even see that the desire is unfulfilled at least as often as it is fulfilled. We don't even know it. And we are looping, and we don't know. Like in a river's eddy. But the mind is so ensnared in an echo chamber of its own desire and cannot see past the tip of its own nose. So there is very good reason to desire to be desireless. So, would you like to share a story? Or no?
Sure, if somebody else has questions they want to ask.
No, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Okay, so Andrew Haddad is familiar with this as well.
I'm listening.
When I was 10, I was attacked by my neighbor's dog, and I had to get over 200 stitches in my cheek. The neighbor moved away shortly after, so I hadn't seen him. I didn't realize I had any residual anger from that. I knew about some of the other problems I had, but I didn't realize I had any residual anger from that. And then this happened when I was 10 at a 25th birthday party. My friend and I was about the same age. They introduced me to this friend of theirs who so happened to be my neighbor. The first time I saw him since that day, immediately, I just got this anger that I did not know was within me. Complete, as you say, blackout anger, where I didn't even know my own name. I only know two things in that moment. One was, I absolutely wanted to punch him. I wanted to knock him out. The other was, I wanted him to recognize me before I did that. And I don't even mean, oh, it was you my dog attacked. I mean, a contraction of the pupils. And he didn't recognize me. It could have gone on for 15 minutes. It could have gone on for an hour. I don't know. And then all of a sudden I realized, wait, I didn't even know I was angry about this. I've had this anger inside of me for 15 years. And the only person it affected was me. He probably doesn't even remember who I am. There's only one victim of this anger, and it's the person who carries it. And I kind of realized after that, anger is its own monster. That blackout anger just in that moment faded away.
Yes. Yes. It's such a perfect example of what's happening all the time. You see, we could say it this way. It's not 100% true, but this is a way of looking at it that is uncommon. And so let's go in. Let's just say it this way, just for impact. There's no such thing as new anger. Means the anger that you feel has been waiting. No, more than waiting. Pushing. Pushing. Demanding the invitation to validate itself. The anger in us invites the circumstance to express the anger. So it's never about what's happening. We know this, in our own experience, like somebody's mad and it's very clear they're not mad about this particular set of minuscule circumstances. It's something else. It's always something else. This is just a clue. This is tricky business because when we begin to wake up to all of this, we come in touch with a degree of anger in us. That is profound. You see, it's the perfect example you gave, Sam, because you didn't even realize. How many? 15 years? You didn't even know. How many times had this thing leaked out sideways? Even in subtle ways where it was, some kind of subtle manipulation of environment. Some subtle condescension to somebody who probably didn't deserve it. If they ever do. Something, You called it a master. When you come across the depths of your anger, a healthy and persistent self-forgiveness practice, a healthy and persistent forgiveness practice is, I would say, almost essential. Of course, grace, divine grace can intervene, can intercede and relieve us like that. It happens, it really happens. I think pray for that and also be willing to prepare yourself to receive it, which means get busy with forgiving. Can you see the relationship with this anger and fear? Yeah. And that helps also. We're just afraid. It helps also because when anybody around us expresses their anger, what they're really saying is, I'm terrified. Imagine if they had the emotional maturity to say, I'm terrified, and how different your response would be towards them. So claim your response, knowing that's what's actually happening and that gives rise to anger is they're just terrified. And realize, most importantly for your own self, you're just scared. So, don't be too harsh. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Then as you begin to be freed of your anger, and more peace and joy is so let's say the constituent parts of you are proportionally more peace and joy, less anger and confusion. You'll begin to see the anger in the world. It does a very good job for a time at masking itself. But once you're free of it, it's right there to see. It can be a bit disturbing at first, but, First it's disturbing to see all the anger inside of you. But no, it's not new. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing new wrong with you. We simply come into a recognition and awareness of what's been happening, under the surface the whole time that gave rise to all the strategies. So many strategies that just have exhausted you. So, there's another effective thing with desire, and that is to place it in good hands. Turn your desire to something that won't let you down. Something that will help free you, not something that will contribute to the bind. You see, if you go through your day and you pay very close attention, loosely, lightly, gently, compassionately, pay very close attention to all of the desires, all of your desires. Notice a few things you'll see. One is how quickly they change. One moment to the next. Once one desire is sated, even just temporarily, the mind quickly finds something else to chase. You've seen this already, yes? There's something more subtly that I want you to pay attention to. As you are going through your day, desiring this, then this, that, again, the object of your desire defines the subject of your identity. You are moving with it. Who you think you are and who you think you're not, what you think you want and what you think you lack, and what you think you don't want, that you already have an abundance of. Your desire reflects back to you where it is you're looking from. Desire in your life is like the stars to an old seafaring captain with a sextant. You use desire to triangulate who it is you think you are. And once you see who it is you think you are, you know that being seen, you cannot actually be that. But you must know yourself to be free of this self that has mastered you in some twisted, inverted, it's like the servant ruling the kingdom, the child ruling the house. We spoke about this recently. So your desires reveal who it is you think you are. At the very least, somebody who doesn't have what you think you want. And then when you see that, and you see the vast diversity of the desires and how fickle you are, find a drishti of desire that will work for you, that will help you pierce through the clutter. If anybody is a skier and ever got good enough to ski the trees, it's like this. You don't find the one tree as the desire. You find not tree. And that is the desire. And that is the only way you'll make it through the woods. There's also a scene in one of the Star Wars movies where they have these, I don't even know what they're called, but they're like the motorcycles that float on air, and they're going through the woods, and every once in a while some stormtrooper explodes against a tree. Right? You see, in order to make it through, in order to thread that, you have to be focused on the space in between your desires. Like this. Right? Is it helpful, Sam? The inquiry on this?
Yes, it is hugely helpful.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
It's really, it's a profound place to come to. There's some sweet fruit on this branch.
Nataraj. Thank you. It took me a minute. Thank you. Since last Monday when you spoke about the prodigal son, I've been thinking about the third character in that story that has been on my mind, and that's the son who stayed. The son who stayed and did what his father asked, the son who worked. And then the brother comes home and there's a huge party. There's this great celebration. And the dad, it feels to him, you're the favorite, even though I've been here all this time. Not only am I asked to accept this, but I need to go make a party for him. Where's my party? And I have great empathy for this one. And over a long time, I've heard the story of the prodigal son so many times, the way all of us have. And I always feel, it's always interesting to me when the third son's, where is he in the story? And I just wondered if you have thoughts on that. Thank you.
So, of course, we all know this. You know? We've been jealous of somebody else. Or they've been jealous of us. Usually there's some story about, well, I've been here all along doing the hard work and he was, you know. And it's true. That son was there with his father all along. And it's good that he was, for sure. You see, but the prodigal son returned to the father. And when you're in the Father's house, there's no such thing as jealousy. It's such a tricky business. I don't want to malign, and not at all do I want to malign the son that stays home. And I think he had no idea where he was. Because the one who knows, the one who knows where they are, would rejoice. When anyone would come, they would rejoice. They would get to work setting the table. It would be the happiest day, like it is for the Father. And it's good, it's also good that he was there in whatever level of recognition he had of the truth underlying his experience of being at home, serving his Father and his Father's land. And it's good because, so many people are causing so much trouble. Certainly the prodigal son caused so much trouble in the world, not just for himself, by the way. A menace. And so the son that stays didn't go become a menace. So it's good. And there's a real peril in being a good spiritual seeker. There's a peril in being a good disciple, of a good student. It's a good way to be, and it's a good place to recognize, not from the mud with the pigs, but from the place of good student. This is a better place to realize. But often it's more difficult because the suffering isn't as great. So I would say, be obedient. But don't be a follower. Be studious, but be your own thinker, Follow the prescribed dharma, but you must know it for yourself. Play. You must see it. The Father wants healthy, independent adults. Right? A good father doesn't want a child dependent on him in such mundane ways. Like, you don't want a 40-year-old living in your basement. A guru doesn't want disciples, not even good ones. A teacher wants you to be able to teach, to do and teach. A guru wants you to be a guru. The Father wants you to be a father. But in the house, the king rules. Everybody wants his attention. Everybody's trying to do the right thing to get special attention and all of this. And it's fine. There's some beautiful things in all of this, and it's helpful. It's helpful to run the house, and it's helpful for, well, we could call it karma yoga. But eventually, each one must know where they are. You know where you are when there's no more jealousy, no more competition. But the truth of this story is that we have these characters, both of them in us, all of them in us. There are aspects of you that are one, the other, and then the third. The father, the mother, the sons, the daughters. The whole story is you. It's the story of you. You know, I think most of us come to this recognition at some point. But how true do you treat it? That Bhagavad Gita is happening inside of you. Bible is happening inside of you. You're Christ and the 12 disciples, and every story, every parable. You're every last warrior on the field of Bhagavad Gita and Arjuna. You are Moses and you are Pharaoh. You are Noah and Jericho. All of these things are inside of you, playing out in their contemporary dramas, in your heart and mind and in the world around you. The Tao is called the way, yes? Jesus also said, I am the way. So this is the way. Along the way, it's helpful to know Scripture, but you don't need to be a theologian. It's helpful to have a guru, but you don't need to be a perfect disciple. And wherever you are, whether you've made it to the mud or you never left the Father's house, come to see it where you stand, which is right now in this very moment. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Closer than your own nose. But you see, one son never left, but never knew where he was. It's not possible to be jealous. It doesn't mean that jealousy is bad or something that you should be ashamed of. It just helps you realize where it is you think you are and that you're not. It's always a bit funny to me how when there's a different flavor that seems to come through when it comes to the Bible. Slightly different in the Old Testament, slightly different in the New Testament. Different flavor comes through. It's the same thing, but it's just a different flavor, you know? You talk about Krishna or Shiva or it's just a different flavor. Buddha, different flavor. Same thing. But it's always a bit of an interesting thing to me to be hearing what's spoken, you know, when we're in reflection on the Bible. It's also funny too because I'm so aware that it's such a trigger point for so many people. I imagine I'm causing all kinds of trouble for myself. You know, it's funny, I grew up Catholic. Maybe many of you already know this. I grew up Catholic. I took confirmation to please my mother. I never really identified so much as Catholic. I was the type of personality that was much more attuned to the hypocrisy and the wrongdoing in the Catholic Church and in the world than I was to the goodness in it. It was a bit just lazy of me to not be more broad in my in my appreciation, my understanding, the full breadth of what it was. But anyway, I wasn't so much identified as Catholic, but I went to church every Sunday. And just by osmosis, I heard these stories. Even as Catholics, it wasn't really part of the tradition to actually read the Bible. At least not in the church I grew up in. And so when I began to tap into a different realm than the one I was familiar with, I was kind of surprised and even found it comical that it took on the flavor of Jesus. And I remember laughing at one point and telling somebody after a profound revelation, I was laughing. I was like, no way, Jesus is real? I was, you know? And there's still a bit of that sort of reflection. It's like, wow, God, if old me could hear me talking now, I would be disgusted. Well, that one was fairly unhappy, so I'm okay. whenever somebody is talking about scripture from whatever tradition, I'm always in 100% agreement. Oftentimes can bring me into a state of ecstasy. And even in the way they interpret scripture, same thing. I'm always agreeing. I mean, simultaneously, I can also see there's 1,000 other ways to perceive it, but where they're coming from, I have no argument and no energy for debate. It seems to me so clear. It's all the same thing, just said in different ways. And those different ways are important, and the differences are important while they're still important. When it first started happening to me, I thought myself a total fool. You know, somebody would say, I would be listening to people debating, and one person would say one thing, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And then the other person would say something else, yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Total fool.
Nataraj.
Yes, thank you.
We have about 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Let's close with a brief silent meditation. No, that was an interesting satsang. Thank you. Okay. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. Love you.